Dear citizens of the world, in every corner of the world, to all the visible and hiding, whatever language you speak, whatever religion you practice for your sanity, I'm here to address you and bring light to a dark time that we facing and have been facing for quite some time now. Thousands of years and counting. We are in a different stage of an ancient war. And no matter what the enemy is doing on the outside, the real war is happening on the inside. So what I'm here to do is remind you of who you are and whose you are. Remind you that you are definitely operating in a simulated world where everything has been planned for you, and for you to follow suit under the impression that you somehow had a great idea. However, we must bond together as humans. We must love one another more than ever. We must grow food at home, and if you can't, buy some food from people who do. We must strengthen family. We must strengthen family. Remember, it's them against us, not vice versa.
So I had it as a sketch on my computer for a while, and I always wanted to put it down, and I wasn't sure how to. And when I was working on the album, I wanted to have something on the album that was called State of the Nation, because what we have in South Africa every year is a State of the Nation address by the president. So he's usually trying to sell us this idea of like, the government has done these great things and did these things, and these are challenges, and this we're going to address in the future. So I felt like it would be very, very interesting to have an artist's perspective on that idea of saying, if we were to look at it and say, okay, what's the state of the nation? What would you say? You know, and then moving to how I met Damani is. He's a rapper, I guess you can call him that, MC from LA, who has a good friend in South Africa, DJ Kenzero, who I work with pretty often. And so we've been speaking over a few years about getting his album together. So he was actually here to produce his album, which came out this year as well, earlier this year. And it has South African musicians playing on it. And so we were working on his album, and I said to him, you know, after getting to know him a little bit, to say, look, I have this idea for this song. Would you be interested to come in? I'd like it to be half rapped, half spoken kind of idea. That's kind of the only direction I gave him, and then gave him the theme and said, look, this is the state of the nation. How would you interpret this in your own words? What do you think needs to be said? You know, and him not being from South Africa, I guess he looked on it as a kind of more, you know, global, not geographical, but more spiritual kind of outlook of where we are as a people. And I thought he did a really amazing job at putting it all together. So how we did it was, I had a kind of pre-production sketch, like a loop that I got from my computer, and that's what Damani recorded to. And then once he had recorded, the musicians came in and we kind of started doing the layering. So working, you know, kind of based off what he was saying. Or we had actually recorded a few of the instruments, like the drums and the bass, and I think the saxophone was also recorded. And then Damani came in, and then he was working off those kind of impulses, and then or stimuli, and then I came in with the rest of the sound design, with the keyboards and the piano, and did all of that stuff to kind of, you know, expand the sonic world of the track. So that's kind of, everyone was kind of bouncing off something that was already there.
Do you enjoy that process?
Yeah, I think that's a really good process. Instead of having like a perfectly scripted or very rigidly scripted outline of how everything should go, because everyone's personality is kind of different, and so when you give some leeway to musicians to bring themselves into the music, then the music can go in really exciting directions. Well, I think this album was very important for me in my development, because I really did like exactly what I wanted to do, which is great. I mean, not to say that I wasn't in the past, but this album for me feels more personal than most of my previous work. And I really appreciate that I took that step. And I think it's great going into the future, because having done it and having, getting a really good response for doing that kind of gives me, the confidence to, carry on in that direction. So yeah, I think the album has done a lot for me in my journey.